Hey everybody, it's me, Jeff Acosta. Hey, how you guys all doing? Well, welcome to another video. And hey, before we go on, as always, don't forget to subscribe. And if you know anybody who has Asperger syndrome, autism, or and they need some type of inspiration, please tell them about my YouTube channel right here, where you can check out all my past videos, adventures, and blogs. My Instagram page, where you can see all my collages. And most of all, and you'll get to see more of it in a moment, my professional Facebook page of all of the same name, Meat Writer Jeff Acosta. And this video is going to explain it so much. I am called Meat Writer Jeff Acosta because 20 years this month, June 2026, is when I came up with the ideas of my children's book series. And before I go on with that, the way you can find my children's books, copyrighted children's books that is go onto the albums, the photo albums, click on any one you want, click on the very first illustration, which is the title cover, then you can read my books and check out my illustrations. Please, while it's great that I can copyright my books, I would really like to be professionally published someday. So please, check out my books and get the word out there and see if there's any chance of being professionally published, whether it's being discovered first through a literary agent, there's Jax, or by one of the big publishing giants like Random House, Scholastic, Penguin, or any of the other big ones. All right, well, hey, as I said, everybody, and as you saw with the thumbnail, and also my getting the thumbnail ready, like with the sign and everything, it has been 20 years now since I came up with the idea for my children's book series. It's incredible how far I've come with my books. Even though still have not been professionally published yet, it's exciting. I could do so many things with them, and especially with copywriting them and then just sharing them with the world to see if there's any chance of being professionally published one day. But hey, you know what? Just like all my amazing stories I've written and illustrated over the years, I think it's time I do like a little mini video, especially for Asperger syndrome, to show my journey with my books, my inspirations, what I went through with writing, and just so much more. And to show that, you know what, the fact that it's been 20 years, you know, even though I'm still not published yet, the fact that I've been going this long is a great feeling. And I'll explain that one in a moment because I think that will relate to something that when I was younger. All right, well, here, let's get started, and I'll show you some things, and I'll answer some questions I thought of myself. And yes, I actually thought of it myself because I think they're very important, like questions that should be answered for this video. All right, let's get to it. You know what? First things first. Why don't I show you some of my illustrations and some of my characters? Then that way you can get an idea of like what my drawings and everything are like, and then I can start answering the questions I thought of for this video. Check it out, everybody. I can't say I really remember how I got started in writing, but I definitely remember, like, you know, drawing and illustrating has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I remember, like, years ago I asked my parents who inspired me to draw, and they couldn't remember, but I'm going to say it was both my mom and my dad who inspired me the most, because they saw how much I loved drawing. Every time I got my hands on a piece of paper with like a pencil or a pen or a marker or a crayon and paint, it was a lot of fun. And the interesting thing is, some of those drawings I kept, and I'm going to see if I can find any of them, since I kept some of my old drawings, and some of them became inspirations for some of my characters in my books, particularly my Adventures in Colorland books, like the Asperger characters, like how I used to draw dogs, cats, elephants, just many other things. It's incredible. I do think, though, that my idea of starting with writing began in middle school, but it was hard for me to come up with original ideas because I love so many classic characters, you know, like from Disney, from Warner Brothers, Hanna-Barbera, Tex Avery, just so many things. It was really hard for me to come up with any ideas. And actually, and this is a part I'm kind of talking about, like, I remember one time, like, when I was really into Pokemon in middle school, I tried to draw a little mini story about like some of the Pokemon who didn't even, like, you know, meet up together as part of the group, like in the television show. Like, I remember drawing Pikachu and I think Slowpoke and some of the others, and like they were on their way to the North Pole. I couldn't even get started on the book. Just drawing it was just too much. I just could not pull through with drawing it, that little mini story. But that's what's incredible about my journey with my children's books of 20 years. Despite you know, still not being professionally published, there's still something inside me that just, just keeps plugging away at my books. And I think it's just the fact that I can copyright my books and share them with the world that just really has motivated me as compared to like my younger self, like when I really struggled to stick to a creative project of my own. But and then also, I remember like when I was starting my high school years, I remember coming up with, as you can hear, I'm like kind of like mumbling because I'm trying to remember so much. It'll come back to me. So pardon me on the mumbling, but you know what the great thing is, and the stuttering and all, it shows like, like I can get nervous when I make these videos, like especially with the Asperger syndrome ones, and that's great. Let's see. My next step in writing was actually these 2 screenplays I remember writing between 2002 and 2004 for Disney. But they, once again, were not really my own original ideas, except even though I came up with some of my own characters, I still have those 2 manuscripts, and I'll save them. I'll show them eventually. Man, just coming back, just trying to think about all these things. Just like when I made that 20-year Asperger syndrome video, like last year, 2025, I was getting all emotional. Just thinking about all these things again, it's really hitting me hard again. But anyways, so what I did was they were basically 2 Disneyland like screenplays, but they were the most ridiculous things I ever wrote. They were basically a parody of Harry Potter and Spaceballs and just so many other like weird films or funny movies and everything. It was just like when I look back at my manuscripts, not only do I like think, man, this was really my introduction to writing, and then also at the same time I was like, geez, no wonder they were rejected. And I definitely think if Disney tried to turn them into films, the first film would have flopped at the box office. So it really took a little bit of time until I finally came up with new ideas of my own. I even did a Disneyland book in 2005 because that was the year of Disneyland's 50th anniversary. And of course, I wrote to Disney on that one if I could like write that book and everything. And they were totally up for me doing the idea. But then sometime later in like May of 2006, they rejected it again. And then I was like, okay, that's like, I was really starting to give up on writing. But little did I know that a month later, my life would change forever. June 2006. That was a month of big change in my life, especially for my creativity and my imagination. My mom and my stepdad took me and my siblings to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, especially because like since that month, one of my brothers graduated from high school. I graduated in 2005, and the other one, he 2006, and then my other 2 wouldn't graduate till the following year, 2007. So we all went on a family trip to Cabo San Lucas. There was this one day we were all there. I don't remember the whole detail of like what was going on that day, but I think our parents went and did something. My sister went to the pool, and then my brothers and I were waiting for a bus shuttle to take us into town. I was really thinking it had nothing to do with writing, and then I just remember I was thinking about this dream that I had. Like probably a couple months earlier, that same year, about and it actually featured Humphrey the sea serpent, this character right here, like, and I remember just seeing him almost like as if like he was pretending to like be like, if I remember him correctly, he was talking like this and saying like, you know what, I could be like Santa's reindeer and fly into the air, and then he shot up into the air like a rocket. It was the funniest, it was the weirdest thing ever. But then just thinking about that dream and thinking about Humphrey the sea serpent, the idea for my books came into my mind. It was the most amazing rush of excitement I ever felt in my life. I never thought about much to do with writing, but then that really was my motivation right there to write. And I really do think being on vacation with my family in a different country, because that was my first time being outside the U.S. In almost 10 years, because the last time I was outside the U.S. was in 1997, back when my mom took me and my brother to Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, and that was like 1997, and 4 years before my mom met my stepdad and his 2 kids. So I really do think not only was that dream of Humphrey the sea serpent and also being in Cabo San Lucas, but Cabo San Lucas itself was the big part of my inspiration. It was incredible. I had all these ideas buzzing in my head, but I had no paper or pen to write anything down, so I had to wait till we came back to America, and then I just wrote everything down. But I first started drawing all my characters, like who you see in the Colorland books, and then the rest was history. The story came slowly, but then it grew into something really special as time went on. What was originally going to be a 6-part story evolved into a gigantic series I've written and illustrated these many years. I still have some books to work on, and I am kind of slowing down. I think maybe it's just because I'm getting older or something. Or maybe it's just because I'm working in a hospital. It's hard to say, but you know what? I've come this far. I will get my books done. It's going to be exciting. And to think, it was because of that dream I had that featured one of my characters and also being in Cabo San Lucas. And to think I paid tribute to Cabo San Lucas in my World's Fair book, where there was a Mexico pavilion devoted to Cabo San Lucas. And that's the thing I love about my stories, is my inspirations, including my favorite writers. So as I said, I have a lot of inspirations, as Cabo San Lucas was one of them. So I take a lot of my adventures and put them into my books. I even did my book right here, The Mothman of Rust Bust Mountain. I got inspiration for that when I was in both Cincinnati, Ohio, and Baraboo, Wisconsin. And especially let's see, what's another one where I took some inspiration. Let's see. Oh yes, when I took my very first trip to Australia, right there, when I did my Phenomenal Animals book, I took some of my inspiration from everything I saw out there into that book, and then also you could briefly see London Square in my London book as well, because I felt like that was just perfect. Even though I was not really in London, I was really still in Australia. But anyways, there's just so many inspirations with in my life, not just with my adventures, but also what I went through in life. Being, just trying to be a great man, a loving person, a respectable gentleman. And also, I don't know if I could say I've been altruistic, but I definitely I want to believe that, because of how much was given to me, especially after I was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome, that I would do anything for all the wonderful people out there who've done so much for me. My family, my friends, my best friends, so many wonderful people. So let's see, since I also in my lands, I did 10 different versions of my favorite classic tales. Alice in Wonderland was my very first one, and that was an old friend of mine who was also into Alice, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a live action Alice in a cartoon world. Anyways, with the inspiration, one of my favorite biblical stories is Noah's Ark, and I put that in there because originally I remember when I was younger, I loved the idea of Noah taking 2 of every animal on Earth into the ark. But as I started getting older, I loved it because despite what Noah went through with all the ridicule from all the sinners and everything, he and his family pulled through and fulfilled God's wishes and plan. And that's the thing I like, is because because especially right now, there's a lot of hateful people these days, and so many try to bring down good folk. I like to think of Noah as my inspiration for don't let the hateful people bring you down. You will succeed. So that's part of my inspiration. There's many more. I'm sure I'm going to be once I make this video, I'm oh, I wish I had thought about this and everything, but that's okay. And then also, there was also my favorite writers. Man, I'm just getting so excited. I'm a little nervous, and maybe it's also because I'm a little tired. But anyways, my favorite writers. So I have Jules Verne right here, because he was a science fiction writer, and of course, behind 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. In fact, I brought his version, or his story, Journey to the Center of the Earth, in my Colorland books and in Time Travel Land. And that's actually something I loved about my books, is with the 10 different lands I have. Let's see, Time Travel Land, Circus Land, Thrill Land, Kooky Town, Central Green, Waterland, Animal Land, World Travel Land, Magic Land, and I think I already said Holiday Land. But anyways, just 10 different lands. It's just great that I can that I could put one classic tale into each of those lands. I even between 2022 and 2024, because both the books were in public domain, I was able to bring Winnie the Pooh to Animal Land. But anyways, back to Jules Verne. I was really inspired by his writing, especially with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Journey to the Center of the Earth, as I just mentioned, From the Earth to the Moon. It's incredible all that he thought of, especially since he was born in the 1800s and passed away in 1905. And another one of my favorites who stands out as the most curious and peculiar is oh my gosh, I was about to say Jules Verne again. Lewis Carroll right there. And his writing is most famous for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. And of course, Alice in Wonderland, as I briefly mentioned a moment ago, is actually one of my favorite stories, because I love the idea of going into another world through some type of portal, which Alice does, when she floats down the rabbit hole or when she goes through the mirror, aka the Looking Glass. And that's an idea I put into a lot of my books. Like basically, like take Izzy in the Land of Nod. Like when the way she gets to the Land of Nod is like when she accidentally grabs hold of the sheep and then he magically transports them back to the Land of Nod that way. Man, I can't believe I forgot my sheep character's name, but I'll put it down in the video. So that's one thing I loved about Lewis Carroll, even though some of his stuff was zany and stuff. Let's see. Another one of my favorite writers, L. Frank Baum, and he is most famous for The Wonderful Wizard of Oz and the Oz works. Because he wrote I think 15 Oz books before he passed away in 1919, and I believe it's 1919. I'll add the corrections if necessary. In fact, in Magic Land, I brought my own version of The Wizard of Oz, and I combined some of the stories and characters from different books into that one. That was an interesting compilation I came up with, but I'm glad I did it. Let's see who else, and of course, one of my favorite writers who and I think also inspired me to draw because of his zany characters and his insane in a good way, of course, insane rhyming. Dr. Seuss. Theodore, oh my gosh. Theodore Seuss Geisel. Man, I was trying to pronounce his middle name correctly in the German way, but then in American it's pronounced Seuss. So that was Dr. Seuss's real name right there. Theodore Seuss Geisel, or Theodore Seuss Geisel, Dr. Seuss. What I loved about him was his colorful illustrations, the animals he created in his world, and those zany rhymes. I have a feeling that many of us, like especially my generation, those are some of the first books you read is Dr. Seuss. So in fact, obviously I can't really bring any of his characters to my Colorland books, since they're copyrighted. But I have paid tribute to him in some of my books with like doing some rhyming and some bizarre animals of my own. So that's Dr. Seuss right there. And then another one of my favorite writers who kind of inspired me to write was J.K. Rowling, and we all know her for the Harry Potter books. In fact, believe it or not, I didn't really get into the Harry Potter books until after I saw the very first Harry Potter movie. And I definitely think it's because I had a crush on Emma Watson at that time. But I think as I started getting older, I started to find Bonnie Wright attractive and everything. But anyways, back to J.K. Rowling. So of course, I couldn't bring Harry Potter to my book since he is highly copyrighted. So I just like with Dr. Seuss, I'm actually paying tribute to her in a book that I'm currently working on at the time of me making this video. So at least, even if I can't bring anything of Dr. Seuss or J.K. Rowling to my Colorland books, at least I can pay some tribute to them as a way of saying thank you. So there's them, and then I also had inspiration from some non-writers like Walt Disney. What I loved about him was just like the limits he pushed, like when it came to cartoons. When everybody thought he was crazy, but he succeeded in making the world's first animated feature cartoon, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, to like when he built Disneyland. That's an inspiration I took from him. Is a lot of people kept bringing him down and saying that he couldn't do this and that, but he defied those people, and he made history. And then some others I really took inspiration from was like Martin Luther King Jr., because I have a dream that that I will succeed with my writing. I mean, hey, look how far I've come. I know I'm going to succeed. Let's see. And then also some people who have Asperger syndrome, like Dr. Tony Atwood, Jerry Newport and his wife. And then let's see. And then also Temple Grandin. they are all on the spectrum, and look at the differences that they made. So I have a lot of amazing inspirations, and I can't believe I almost did 10 minutes on this segment, especially since I was stuttering and trying to remember so much. So here, let's go on to the next question. As I was continuing to build my world in my children's books, I actually was about to go through a phase in 2006 that was actually going to be in my opinion, a mistake, but it was a learning lesson, was self-publishing. I got myself involved with this company called Author House, and I have a feeling that they're not around anymore. But I remember the book just was not ready, but I was determined to get a story out in some way, and my writing at the time was not really good, especially since when I was in junior college at the time, I didn't know that I really wanted to major in literature and writing. So I just self-published it in 2007. It was quite a bit of money, a few $1,000s, like $3,000. I was trying to figure out how am I going to get my other books out there? So I didn't know what to do. So I tried to figure so many things out. I went online and tried to find some literary agents, and I had no luck with any of them. I think I even got myself involved with one who said that they would do this and that and everything, but I had to pay them, and it didn't work either. But you know what? Despite not getting a literary agent, and even still to this day, I'm going to keep plugging away. Maybe one day an agent will find me intriguing and will want to get me professionally published one day. And then let's see. And then but then here's the thing with Author House. Just before I graduated UC Davis in 2010, they called me and they wanted me to go to LA to do a book signing. That would have cost me $3,000, and I think that was about as much as I still had in my bank at the time, because I was I was only working a part-time job at that Target store. I would have got nothing out of that book signing. So I told him, you know what, that's it. I'm going to end my contract, and I did in 2011. But ever since then, though, I know everybody has their different views on self-publishing, but I vow never to self-publish again, because you know what? I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to lose money on something or to spend money on something that's going to lose money. So what I ended up doing was, in 2011, it still was a bit of time, but I ended up coming up with more and more ideas for my books. But it wouldn't be until 2013 that I would copyright my first set of books, which was books number 1 to 53, and then that's how I started putting my books out there. But it wouldn't be until 2014, when I came up with the idea for my professional Facebook page, and where I could start sharing my books on there. And the good thing is, since I put copyrighted on there, that way people can know that I've copyrighted my stories and my characters and my illustrations. So, despite that mistake, it was a learning experience. I mean, life is always going to be a learning experience, no matter how old we will be, or even how young we'll be. So that was a great thing that I did, a great lesson, that is. Let's go on to the next one. So right here are some of the early names I came up with some new characters that I drew after I self-published the book in 2007. So here's that manuscript I was talking about, one of the two. As you can see right there, home is where the heart is. I got that idea off of a Disney song from the Disney Afternoon, Tailspin, that is. But of course, Harry Potter meets Spaceballs. I was like, oh, brother, that was just strange that I came up with that idea. And as you can see, it kind of also that's how I drew the story, or wrote the story. It was probably the strangest thing I ever wrote. But hey, the interesting thing is, some of those characters that I did create that were my own in these two manuscripts. Oh, there's Jax right there. Ended up being in my Colorland books. And here's one of the storyboard drawings I drew, of some of the characters who ended up being the villains right there, but they became atmosphere characters, like this dragon right here. His name is Greeno, and there's a Bat Boy right there, and I believe that's Major right there. And then here's two of the rats, or who are guards. As I was talking about, with that Pokemon story I tried to write and illustrate when I was in middle school and didn't pull through, and I ended up using someone else's characters and everything. So there are two of the rats right there, but then there's also my favorite Disney character, Elliot from Pete's Dragon, when he's invisible. So yeah, so it was really, as you can see, I was trying to come up with my own ideas, but it was so hard to break away from my favorite characters growing up. There are some more of my atmosphere animal characters, but we see all 4 of these animals in my Easter book, where they're doing a march. Yes, this rabbit and cow and frog and hippo, they all appear in that book. And here's one of my dog characters from those two manuscripts I drew, and he went and appeared in my Colorland books as well, including that Easter one I mentioned a moment ago. Discarded stories that like when I was trying to come up with ideas for my Colorland books, and as you can see right here, it's all in this. I keep all of this in this worn out but still good briefcase type bag. Back when I was trying to get ideas for some of my mini books. And then here's one that did end up becoming a reality, Christina and Mike, which later became Christina and Mike and the Missing Bracelet. My self-published version of my very first book. So this is the version I was talking about that wasn't ready. But here's the thing: I took some inspiration from the cover and put it in my current series. Like I tried to recreate the same color pattern in all the letters for how the Colorland logo looks in my books right now. And as you can see right there, like even though it was a nice story, it just wasn't. It's all just. They were all just one big paragraph in each page. Couldn't really tell like which character was talking at the time because I didn't know about breaking down like the stories, so that way like at least the reader knew who was speaking and everything. And of course right there's Humphrey again. This is the closest I found to some of my earliest drawings right here. So right, you see right there's killer whale, and I used that design for some of my like killer whales or orcas in my books. And then I believe this elephant design I ended up using for Mrs. Elephant, who ended up being like the mother of one of my elephant characters, and he actually appears in book 6, A Flight to Mars. Oh, and of course, if you were to look at this at this description on the back of my self-published book, it practically gives away the whole plot away for part 1. So there was really a lot I learned as time went on. So like I keep saying, life is always about learning lessons, no matter how old or young we are. And of course right there's the Author House logo. So you know what, this has been quite a journey with my writing. I'm glad I stuck to continuing building my series, no matter if I'm professionally published or not. One thing I cannot forget to mention in this video is, even though I have not reached part 6 of my 6-part story just yet, or book 200, which is going to be my final Colorland book, I've written and illustrated quite a bit of part 6, and I think I already have a lot of book 200 ready without even realizing it. So you know what? Those are my motivations right there to keep going. No matter how tired or slow I might be right now, I will finish my series. I will get to part 6 of my 6-part story, like I knew I would, or like I thought of like 20 years ago. And I will finish my series by doing book 200. I will get there someday. And that's the thing, kind of like with all the inspirations I had from Martin Luther King, Dr. Seuss, Walt Disney, J.K. Rowling, just all of them. That's one of my biggest inspirations right there, is I will finish my series. I will someday. I will. It'll happen before we know it. Okay, so although this does not truly relate to like my actual writing, my characters, or any of those things, the reason I include all those hashtags in all my collages and all my social pages and everything is because like I figured, you know what, if it's in the algorithm, you know, autism, children's author or publisher wanted, or a literary agent wanted, then there's a better chance of being discovered. Hope that answers some questions if any of you might be wondering those things if you've been following my social pages. Alright everybody, well I hope you enjoyed this little Asperger Syndrome video and my 20 years writing journey with my children's book series. Pardon me about the stuttering and mumbling and brief pausing and just so many other things, but it was really exciting just to finally do another 20 years Asperger Syndrome video. Man, to think in 2022 it was 20 years, like when I was diagnosed with Asperger's. August 2025 was like my 20-year mark, like after I started my adulting journey, and now 20 years since I started my my writing journey. Man, what's gonna be the next 20 years with Asperger's syndrome journey I'm going to record about. We shall see. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for so much for watching. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. And if you know anybody who has Asperger's syndrome, autism, and they need some type of inspiration, please tell them about my YouTube channel right there where you can see all my past adventures and videos. My Instagram page with all my collages. And of course, my professional Facebook page where you can find my children's book series. Just go onto the albums, click on the very first illustration, and then you can start reading my books and checking out my stories and everything. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video. See ya. Hey everybody, it's me, Jeff Acosta. Hey, how you guys all doing? Well, welcome to another video, and it's another Asperger's syndrome video. And hey, before I go on, as always, don't forget to subscribe. And if you know anybody who has Asperger's syndrome, autism, and they need some type of inspiration, please tell them my YouTube channel. Oops. I got started with writing probably like when I was in middle school or something like that, but drawing and illustrating have been a part of me since as long as I can remember. I asked my parents if they could remember who encouraged me to draw when I was younger, but I have a feeling it was both my mom and my dad, because they saw how much I loved drawing when I was younger. In fact, I would always get excited like whenever I would get a new set of markers or crayons. And the interesting thing is, some of my character designs or how I drew animals made their way into my children's book series as some minor characters, especially for my characters, which I call the scribbles in my Colorland books, or my Adventures in Colorland books, that is. I mean, the whole series is called Colorland. So anyways, there was that. But the thing is, when it came to writing, I didn't really have anything original because it was hard to come up with original stuff. And I don't know. I used other people's materials and everything, like when I was coming up with my ideas. See, I'm trying to remember so much.